Oh, good evening, YouTube. How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? Let me make sure my frame is okay here. So as I'm starting up here, this fun little detail, fun fact that I found out today. So, well, I didn't find it out today. I knew it was happening. It's crazy when you see it happening for yourself. That people are taking all my content word for word. All my content word for word. People are watching the videos in order to replicate the content. And not even with any good intention either. People are trying to lead people astray. People are blocking my channel, if that's crazy enough, blocking my channel. So blocking people from actually hearing the message from the source, hearing the full message with all the content, the context, and literally taking my content and not even recreating the content, just regurgitating the content. And people were doing that in the States, and I'm seeing a lot less of that in the States, but I'm seeing people in India, which is the only people left for people who are gang stalking me to work with, is people who are so far out of the country who would never know, and who too will start seeing, that this is, you can't put your hands in this. Anyway, I have these botanical cards that I pull, and I feel like they kind of guide my messages. And tonight's card says, determination and creative achievement. You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. So I am going to redo yesterday's live. Yesterday's live was amazing idea, amazing message, wrong vibe, wrong mood, wrong whatever, that I was in. So I'm going to redo that content tonight. Give me a second here. I'm gonna redo that content because I want the message to get out, but I don't want it to be, I don't know. See, this is the thing. The version of yourself that you are, I mean, this is obvious stuff, right? But the version of yourself that you are when you're in a better mood, when, and this is the thing, a lot of times your mood has nothing to really do with like what's going on in your life, whether things are good or bad. Your mood doesn't necessarily have to do with that, especially when you're receiving projections, especially when you're going through spiritually what people like myself go through. You can always tell when people are fake. Like, for me, if people repeat what I say and it's coming from a good place and they're trying to help people, then it's even better, because it's like, oh, well, at least like more people are gonna hear what I have to say. But these messages are not necessarily just mine. Like, I'm, helping people because I was pushed to do that, so it is what it is. But you could definitely tell when people are fake, because these people do not believe in anything spiritual. So, it is what it is. I'm trying not to, I don't even have to try not to take it personally. It's just like when I first seen it, I kind of skipped over it, and then I'm like, this is not right. But either way, whatever the intention with doing that is, either way, it is what it is. Yeah, so I'm gonna go over some of the points that I wanted to talk about again. So I was out and about, and I was thinking to myself about you know, the fact that everybody going through, well, not everybody, I can't speak for everybody, but majority of people that I hear about or that I listen to online that are going through this very difficult ordeal, a lot of people get trapped in it, and that's where they want you to be. They want you to be trapped in this situation where you can't get out of it. And you know, you have to not fall into that trap. There are dead ends in every corner that you turn, but eventually you find your way. Eventually you work your way out of it. And for me, this is just a world that I want to turn my back on. Not as far as coming here and giving messages and helping people, but as far as like me living in and participating in it, it's like that's what's the word I'm gonna use? Unacceptable and not gonna be possible. Irregardless of what anyone says, it's just not gonna happen. Irregardless of how people kick and scream and what they throw in the air and their tantrums, it's their business. It's not gonna happen. So for me, I've had to do the work of navigating my way out. And I tell people, like, people are, a lot of times people wait for these situations to get better for God to come and help them, or God to come in and rescue them, change their entire situation, make everything right. That's not how it works. It is co-creation. So you have to assist in this as well. You have to play a part. You have to have your role. So to expect that you're going to wake up one day and by a blow of smoke, you know, gang stalking is not going to be in your reality without you doing anything. You don't get out of difficult situations as the person who got into it. Whatever issue that you have, if you remain the same person, you are not coming out of here. You have to change. You have to adapt. You have to accept that this is the new reality. And you have to also accept that you've been caught in a web of organized crime. That's different than normal crime. When you say this is illegal, this is illegal, this is not right. Yeah, it's organized crime. That's why it's very organized. Organized crime puts people on salaries, not, you know, it's not contract work. They own people in gang stalking. They own people. People cannot leave. This is not just a position that somebody gets paid here and there. This is a position that people cannot leave. They just don't know that yet. A lot of them. When I start talking like this, they remove everybody from their lives because they don't want people to know that. These situations are, as you can expect, it's like city to city, coast to coast, you have these sewer-like figures, these underworld, you know, black market, underground, master splinter, headquarters in the sewers of the streets type of figures that run these kind of shady backdoor, like Ponzi schemes that trap people. And now this one is involving trapping people on a soul level, trapping people on a spiritual level. It's funny to recreate TI content where people are talking about spirituality, but it's like the day that some of these people realize, like when they're like, hey, listen, I don't want to be paid for this anymore, this small job here, this small nonsense here. Oh, I just have to record a video for whatever, I just have to do this and I just have to do that. The day that you realize that you don't want to do this anymore, then you'll realize that what these people were talking about was real, and you've already been making your videos. This is not a they have to do something to you to get you to agree to do this, and you listen to the videos of other people and alarm bells don't go off in your head where you think, even if these people are mentally ill, let's say, even if these people are mentally ill, do I really want to make fun of mentally ill people, or do I want to mock them, or like what is the game plan behind me making this video? Why would someone want me to make that? You know? I think it's wild. I think this kind of stuff is the reason people get caught up in nonsense all the time, because you got to use your head when people ask you for stuff. You have to ask yourself a few more questions. You have to go to sleep at night and allow your instincts to speak to you in the morning, your intuition to say, yeah, that doesn't sit right with me. That one, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. Why do they want? And you might not come up with an answer as is logical. A lot of times you don't come up with an answer for these things, but you still have to just be like, you know what? I don't want to be a part of this. This is a circus. Whatever it is, it doesn't smell good. It doesn't feel good. And that's something else that I want to talk about later on tonight, is how people habitually do not listen to their better judgment. People habitually do not pay attention to the voice in their head or the feeling in their gut that says like, it's a bit weird, it's a bit fishy, and investigate past your gut telling you something is off. That something is off feeling is what saves your life. Every time your gut tells you something is off and you follow it, it saves your life. Every time your gut tells you, I am confused and I don't feel comfortable to go past this confusion, you save your own life. You don't hop in the back of that truck, so to speak, metaphorically speaking. So it is very important to nurture that inner feeling that tells you that something's wrong. When people come to you and they're willing to pay you whatever they're paying you for something that is weird, that lacks ethics, that lacks morals, everybody has to take accountability for what they do. And I know that there are people who do get, gang stalk themselves to be a part of this, and that's pretty rough. But, for those people, and I know there are quite a few of them, I know in my city at least, they get them in, they trap them, they're locked, they don't know what to do, they're going through hell, and they have people physically invading their space energetically and putting them in horrible situations, and they feel like their back is against the wall. And I've met way, 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 way too many of those people. So I know that it is true. And there are a lot of them that don't agree with it. They think it's scummy behavior. They've never said that, but I know that they think that way. That's why I come here, for these people. So I wanted to talk about the new school of TIs, the new school, the new breed of targeted individuals, because the people who have been going through targeting before us, bless their hearts, and may their suffering be repaid. But we have to adapt. We can't keep repeating the same cycles over and over, making the same moves over and over. At some point, we gotta say, we're standing up individually, each one, because we're already isolated, but we're standing up in every way that we can stand up to it. And recognizing it's going to be the toughest battle of your life. It is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. But what is more worth saving the rest of the life that you have and finding enjoyment and peace out of your life once more? Because where this is here, this is literally hell on earth. Going through hell on earth. And at some point you got to say to yourself, I would like to go in a new direction. I cannot I can't do it anymore. I know that's what I said. I said that from the beginning. I was like, for me, it was like, when it's not gonna be done, it's not getting better. They're trying to make it worse. At first, they were just following me. Now I'm noticing they're trying to put me out of business. What is this? So I had to be fighting for my life. I'm calling the police. I'm asking for help. Nobody's coming. How is that possible that nobody's coming to help? So I've done my walk, but I've done my walk in a couple unique ways, a couple unique things that I've done that I have not heard other TIs do. So these are the things that the new generation of TIs need to do in order to focus correctly on a target that makes sense, which is exiting gang stalking, not getting together to sue the government and all this kind of exiting gang stalking. So, as I was saying before, so I saw these videos of these kids, these people who jump over cars, like literally a car comes towards them and they jump high enough and the car drives off and then they land on their feet. And I think that's insane. I think that's insane, but I think that's an amazing metaphor for gang stalking, is a car coming at you, and if you don't get out of the way, it's gonna take you out 100%. And maybe you are in an alley where it's like wall to wall. The car has enough room for it to just drive all the way through and not enough for you to like step out of the way. You might have to jump a car. Like that might be your only option. And that is incredibly difficult. But I think as we don't have a choice. First of all, when you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. And I kind of want to look at it like this. Say if you're a gang stalker, this is just where you live. You live in that alley. And say living in that alley, then you start having children that are born in that alley that just know every once in a while a car is gonna come by, and if we're caught in the road, there's nothing we can do. So your kids, being as adaptive as children are, being the next generation where it took out a couple of the adults, it impaled a couple people, some people lost limbs, your kids just jump over cars. They don't get scared. This is just their reality. This is how they grew up. And I feel like, first of all, we have enough evidence that gang stalking is real. So I don't ever come here trying to convince people of all the things and like, let me take a video of this happening. And I don't waste my energy like that, because I don't give gang stalkers my energy at all. So that's number one. We're not doing that. Number two, we've come far enough that people already have enough evidence that it's real. Enough level-headed people are talking about it. There are professionals that talk about it. Medical professionals who've been gang stalked. People in positions that have come out very intelligently and intellectually explained what they're going through, what they've been through, and all of that. These are not mentally ill people. These are people who have balanced perspectives, and they're all saying the same thing. So we're beyond the whole pretending gang stalking doesn't exist. Like, so we're not doing that. So now that the batch of us that are being freshly gang stalked are coming up, and we're looking at all of these people that are saying, I've been gang stalked for 20 years, I've been gang stalked for 12 years, for this, for that. It's like, that cannot be me. And I'm not leaving the country or anything, but that's just not gonna be me. I don't care what people are talking about. It's not gonna be me. That's a crazy story to tell. And in a lot of people, you can see it. You can see the anger, the anxiety, the depression, the stress. They're trapped and they're helpless and they're hopeless, and they have taken all their energy and focused it in the completely wrong direction. And had they been going through another life experience, it wouldn't be like that. So say it wasn't something as bad as gang stalking. Say you were going through, trying to pull yourself through in a hospital bed after you're fighting for your life, in a car crash, you wouldn't be thinking about giving up on life. It would be incredibly tough. Every day would be very difficult. You'd be in pain. You'd probably wonder a couple times if you're going to really make it, if you're going to walk again, this and that. But you wouldn't just stop. Like, you would want to walk again. You would want to go out again. You would want to date again. You would want to, whatever it is. Like, it's like, I know it's intense pressure. I've been there. I spent some very, very hard, long months fighting this. I want to say a year and a half actively fighting it, and then passively ignoring it and getting over it in the last 6 months. So I want to say from December till now, it's like they've continued to try, but there's nothing to gang stalk. You have to adjust your life. So anyways, let me go down this list. But let me start with adjusting your life. A lot of people seem to think that they're going to get out of gang stalking living the same life or living life in the same way as they did before. Going to 9 to 5s, 5 days a week, exposing themselves in public, always being outside, always being available. Nobody ever talks about, how do I fix the fact that people are reaching me energetically in my home? How do I fix that? How do I heal my body? How do I heal my anxiety? How do I stop with the paranoia? And I have another video where I talk about, what does it feel like to be a person who is not gang stalked? And so if you are not working towards what it would feel like to not be gang stalked, whatever you do doesn't matter, because you're going to gang stalk yourself anyway. Even if gang stalking were to reduce down to the lowest level, if you cannot imagine yourself in the world without ever being gang stalked again, if you cannot imagine yourself walking around, you have a long way to go. And when you first imagine things that you want, it's difficult to get that image when you're fighting in it now, because your body doesn't believe it, your mind doesn't believe it, and so it's hard to pull that energy towards you. It is the practice of that energy, doing it all the time, always actively focusing towards, what would life be like? What do I want? How? And not being realistic about it, because people do not create from a place of being realistic. People create from a place of dreaming, allowing yourself to dream of something better, hyper focusing on things that you want the way that you want them to be, and making it a commitment that that is the way that you think. So it starts in a couple of ways. First of all, you have to decide, first of all, that you do not want to be in this situation. So I have another video. It's called, you have to decide that you need a new beginning. And that is the first step. You need to say to yourself, I cannot stay here. What is the alternative besides the pain that I have to go through to get out of here? The alternative is I'm still here in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So I might as well do the work. And I have another video called Move Your Feet When They Feel Heavy as Lead. You got to start taking one step in front of the other step. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how dejected you feel, no matter how disappointed you feel, the alternative is that you're stuck in position. That is not the place that you want to be. So you got to put one foot in front of the other and keep moving. The point of what they're doing is to stop you from moving. And every time they put a hurdle in your way, use it as an opportunity to improve upon what you were doing that they were able to stop. Do I need to fix this? Can I enhance this? Can I do better? How can I do it in a way where people cannot block it? Because this is something that I need. There's some things that there's no bother. There's no point. There are just some things where it's like, is this going to be the end of the world? No, because you got to travel light when it comes to the situation. You got to travel light. You cannot afford to be trying to pack a whole truckload behind you and having to pick up things behind you as you're being gang stalked. Like, you need to just travel light, get what you can, evacuate that old life, give it up. If you need to apply for remote work, I would apply for remote work and work from home. There are companies that are hiring remotely. However, maybe you need to, however it is that you go about doing the things that you have to do, because I can't tell people specifically for their situation what to do, but whatever it is that you have to do in order to pull away your energy from these people long enough that you can begin healing. Because as soon as you start healing, you can hang on to the feeling of healing. As soon as you start healing yourself, and that's another thing that we're not thinking about enough, is the importance of healing yourself emotionally. You've just been through trauma. This is even worse than being locked in someone's basement. The level of trauma that is on your body, the level of these horrible, intense emotions that most human beings are not supposed to have, the level of that is on you is like psychotic. That's gonna be hard to get through. So you have to start healing yourself from the inside out. You have to start getting to a place where you're like, you know what? I need to get away from people for just for a bit. Get away from people following me on the street all the time. Get away from people gaslighting me, abusing me in relationships. Like, I need to get away, and what I can't get away from, I ignore. You ignore things long enough, people have to stop. When I first came on here, there were so many trolls in the comments. They were saying the most horrible things. There were so many people coming in the chat saying nonsense. And now it's just like, if it works, people are going to continue doing it. And if it doesn't work, they're going to have to realize, like, it doesn't make sense. We're not affecting this person. We're not having the desired effect. They're doing it for a reason, but if you completely ignore it, and there's two ways to ignore something. There's ignoring it where it's taking a lot of effort, and then there's ignoring it where you just accept it as part of what's going on and you just let it be. And that's literally how I am. When trolls come in the comment section, they could see that I could care less. I barely read it. I'm not one who reacts. I don't get irritated. Like, I don't care. The other thing that I was going to say as well. So first of all, let me go down my list. I have 10 things that I wrote down on how I believe the new generation of targeted individuals need to behave. First of all, like I said, we need to address lifestyle. Also, let go of fear, because I can see that people are afraid of these people, and rightfully so, and I understand why. But release the fear. You cannot even begin to get yourself out of any situation in a state of fear. It is too low on the vibrational scale to be starting from that place. If you have any fear, you have to look at them and you have to make the story very realistic. You cannot be thinking that gang stalkers are some like big elusive army and there's a million of them and whatever in your city and this and no. You gotta look at the gang stalking situation as it only feels like there's a lot of them because everywhere I go they're surrounding me. So let's say I go to a particular store, there might be 5 or 6 of them, or 2 or 3 main ones. I mean, it just feels like that, but it's not necessarily like that. It's not. Secondly, this is organized crime, like I said before. So it feels very organized. It doesn't feel like your run-of-the-mill, fly-by-night type of crime. It's something that wants to be an institution. So when you're the victim of organized crime, you have government official involvement, you have court involvement, you have all kinds of things like that. So because of that, it feels like it's bigger and scarier. But really what it is somebody got a contract on your head and they're nickel and diming all these hungry people to come and do this kind of nonsense. That's all it is. They have factored in what it's going to cost to pay these people. They're going to take a profit. They're going to take the lion's share of it. They're going to drop some pennies down on the floor for everybody else that comes and plays naughty and nice. One day supporter, one day saying stupid stuff. Like they're going to, one day they're your friend. Oh, hey, how are you? And next day it's like they say something gaslighting, especially like on purpose to get under your skin. That can't cost a lot. I don't even think they pay them just for these individual things. Maybe they have them on a stipend, whatever the case is. You have to reduce the story to the reality of the situation and don't make it bigger than it is. You have to look at it for what it is and not look at its shadow down the hallway that looks like up to the ceiling. Once you see it for who it is, and it does help, and like I say, the most critical information you get about your gang stalking journey is at the very beginning, when you get to see who people are. So what they're, that's the time to, collect names, try to find out who is the person behind it, try to figure out who are the key players, etc. That's where your luck comes in, when you actually have these names, when you document things, keep things. Like, we're in a different world. Even if it's the internet, they can find people's IP addresses. They can dig information from people's email addresses. You can sue these companies. You can get after the head office and figure things out. It's not like it used to be. Things are not like they used to be, but you need to be organized, and you need to start off your journey with the intention that you don't want to stay here. Therefore, the whole way that you act, how you behave, how you move around is always with the intention of, I need to solve my own case and I need to get out of here. So this is one thing that I did. That's why I know who was paid to do this to me. I have a lot of information that's specific. It's not just they're gang stalking me. Who's they and you don't know? I know specific names. I know where they work. I know their, key information that can solve a case. And this is how you want to go about being gang stalked. I want you to have, or you should have, selective focus. Some things are worth focusing on, some things are not. I call that conquering the correct territory. Some things just feel good to do, but some things are not good to do. It feels good to fight with people and defend yourself and, oh, this is not right and blah, blah. It feels good, but it's not good. In the long run, it's not good. It just makes your healing harder. It makes you in this habit of always feeling like people are after you, people are putting you down, they're talking down on you, etc. And it's like, that does not help make you feel good. Excuse me. And really, in this battle, if you have a minute where you can feel good, you'll realize that you want to feel good. So you need to be very selective about where you put your attention. And one of these things that you don't want to focus on is the negativity of the gang stalking thing all day. Talking about, this whole thing is very dark. And you have to find light in your own world. You have to find peace in your own world. So imagine every single day you're sitting there and all people are talking about night and day is gang stalking. You have to block it out at some point. Not completely. You want to get new information, you want to find like new resources, but if you're following pages that you guys are just every day telling the same story, it's gonna turn into something where you identify with it so much that you're used to that story, that pain. And if you get too used to it and you wear that persona too long, then you don't ever think about leaving. You don't ever think about normalcy. You don't ever think about walking away. So you got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. You got to stop focusing on this. You got to stop giving this crazy attention all the time. You have to find your peace, find your solution, find ways of doing things where you block this out of your reality. I talked about healing, but new generation TIs need to really focus on healing and stop. Listen, gang stalking is the new slavery. I said that from day one. It's crazy. I said that from the first time I wrote about gang stalking on my social media. And I said, my ancestors were already slaves, and that is something I promised myself could never happen to me. And that's a fact. I'm not living as a slave. But it's slavery, and people soon find out you cannot leave. So, that being the case, it reminds me of how people talk about slavery like, yes, it happened. Yes, it's horrible. But we gotta tell a new story or we're keeping it alive. We are beating down on ourselves emotionally with this idea, with connecting ourselves with this very sad story that is a very small fraction of a very long history. It's just like you keep talking about this story, regurgitating it, bringing up the horrible stories, the worst parts of it, and you feel awful after you watch a slavery movie. You feel horrible. That's like gang stalking. You listen to one of these videos, you feel horrible, and it's like, how long are we gonna like keep shooting that up in our veins before we're like, yeah, I don't want to hear about this anymore. I'm tired of it. So I think more healing content, more conversations about healing, more conversations about self-healing. And like I said before, I know that it might be easy to look at what I'm saying and say, oh, well, it's easy because, you know, you've pulled yourself away far enough. I'm saying it because I've had to pull myself away far enough. I've had to do that. And because I've had to do that, I know that it's tough. I've had to pull myself away. So I know that the pulling away is tough. However, worth it. However, the time would have passed either way. Either way, the 6 months would have came, the 1 year would have came, but it wouldn't be 12 years. Maybe it's gonna be so hard that it would be 6, but 6 years fighting, there's people who fight longer custody battles. There's people who have like 10-year divorces. You gotta start moving on. They start dating 6 months after the divorce is announced, much less to wait a whole 10 years to date again. So it's like you gotta keep pushing. um I said it before, you have to find a balance between like logic and dreaming in order to create a new reality. You need to be a dreamer, you need to be unrealistic, and then you need to employ logic to get there, because you cannot be doing unrealistic things and having unrealistic dreams as well. Like, you got to be logical with yourself. So I'm not saying don't dream big, not at all. Dream whatever you have in your heart to dream, but the way you're going to get there, you got to employ a bit of logic. And when you get to moments where like you want to take a risk, you want to go a little bigger, you want to do this, you want to do it, fine. But you cannot expect things too fast. You can't expect things right away. You can't expect to like just wake up one day and it just vanishes and you did nothing. Like, you have to learn to adapt in this world. You have to learn like what things you can and cannot do. How do you keep things private when your privacy is being attacked? How do you find your way around doing things? How do you get back bits and pieces of your life incrementally? And you need to get good at that. You need to get good at that. And it doesn't matter about anybody else, because people will have their ideas either way. Either way, people are going to think it's tit for tat. They're going to think you're this, they're going to think you're that. Like, they shouldn't even be gang stalking you and hyper focusing on you in the first place. So you got to do what you got to do. You have got to make a plan. Not a lot of planning is being talked about here. You have to actually make a plan. Have a plan of exit. How am I getting out of here? How am I getting out of gang stalking? How am I healing out of this? How long is it gonna take? How can I live when I do get out of here? How can I survive? How can I take care of myself? How can I insulate myself from all of this pain? These are the things you got to be thinking about. You have to be able to step into your shadow self. You have to be able to leave the super nice person who has no boundaries and who lets people walk all over you. You better strangle and get rid of that person, that version of you, ASAP. You are going to need to be able to put people in their place. People can say whatever they want about me, but I will tell you, I'm not going through that BS. They can say, oh, I was a witch, I was this, I did that. It's better for me that they say that. It is better for me that they say that than they not say it. Then they say the opposite. Then they say, oh, who cares? And then they pass their place. You got to make people respect you. They're not just going to come with it on a platter for no reason. You got to make them respect you. And that means you got to stand up for yourself. You got to fight for yourself. You have to put people in their place. You got to talk to people. So, you know, it's up to everybody what everybody else wants to do. But as for me, I go in the spirit about my problems. I suggest everybody does it. I definitely pray down against any evil coming into my life, and gang stalking is the greatest evil that has ever come into my life. So I have done the most prayers over people who have wished me no good in my life. Not giving it up for a thing, not coming off of it for a thing, not letting it slide for a thing. Not sorry, don't care what happened, don't care. That is the attitude that you have to have. Don't care. Don't care. It's not right. It's crazy. It's scary. And even with this attitude, these people would still keep trying. I'm telling you. So imagine having anything less than being very, very, very strategic with criminals, career criminals, organized crime. And when it's organized crime, you really have to hit people from every angle. It's not just on the prayer front. It's also, like I said, employing logic, making reports, collecting evidence, not just being gang stalked. I mean, concrete evidence. What is a concrete evidence? It's a fact. Who, what, where, why, when. Names. You know, you got to go through. These are people in your community. So you know some of these people. Don't just go through gang stalking to go through gang stalking. Go through gang stalking strategically, because this is your whole life. I find this so crazy. It's your whole life. You just lay there and complain every day. You got to block out the things. Selective focus is blocking out the things that don't make sense and doing the things that do make sense. So blocking out things like people are gaslighting you, people are making comments, because you can't do anything about that. That's not a crime. And that's something that you have to kind of adjust yourself to. But people violating you, coming into your home, pushing you out of work, out of means of taking care of yourself, these are issues. These are issues. So yeah, you gotta, it's not enough. And the Christianity thing, who has it worked for? Who has it worked for? So gotta do better, gotta do differently, gotta think differently. Who has it worked for? They keep pushing it. Why do you think they're making content, stealing everybody's content, coming in everybody's comments, I love Jesus? Why? Because that's the thing that doesn't work, and that's where they want to keep you trapped, just like slavery. That's the first time. That's the first time they gave people Jesus during slavery. They gave them the Jesus juice, and slavery went on for 400 years. Are we going to repeat the same cycles? Be realistic. You don't ignore when people are beating down on you. I've heard 100 people say, oh, turn the other cheek, God will take care of them, blah blah blah. Of course God is taking care of them because I'm asking for it. That's what they do in the Bible that everybody reads, right? Every spiritual book. Of course God is taking care of them. It's not me taking care of them. I'm not going to anybody's house. I'm not doing anything to anyone. I don't talk to anyone. I don't confront anyone. I don't respond to people. However, people are being taken care of and they know that they are. At least in my situation, my city, they know that they are. They know that it's karma because they knew it was wrong. They knew it was wrong. Ignoring when these people want to pull on your attention. Draining. This is one of the draining ones because it's one thing if they just want to pull on your attention in random ways, but they want to pull on your attention in public with the gang stalking. That's the gang stalking is really just like exasperating your nervous system while you're out in public. It's like they've already put the spell work and the energy work in place, and now they're using gang stalking and following you around to like poke you and get you in a panic and get you crying and get you depressed and get you scared and all this kind of stuff. They're using the gang stalking to do that. But really the most serious stuff is in the spirit. The most serious stuff is stuff you have to go to spirit about. It's these soul bindings. It's when these people bind themselves to you and you cannot get away no matter what you do. And I'm talking about on an energetic level. They always are coming into your energy. They're always finding a way to, whether it's you falling sick, whether it's you losing things, losing relationships. That's all spirits. That's all energetic stuff. That's not necessarily the illusion you saw in front of you of like an argument. It's like something provoked you or something provoked the other person and something happened. It's like that's how they're used to taking things from people without touching them, is putting them under so much spell work. They lost their jobs, they lost their family, the important people around them, their friends. Everything slowly but surely flushes down the drain and they can't tell anybody how that happened or what's going on. Everybody can't have the same story of the same thing, like the exact same thing. They're doing it that way as a formula for a reason, because they want the attention of people knowing, oh, the exact same thing happened to this person, this person, this person, this person was so horrible, I'm gonna be next. They're doing it on purpose. You have to ignore when these people are pulling and tugging for your attention. Ignore them with emphasis, and it takes a while. Don't think that it's gonna be from day one. While people are gang stalking you, you don't need to be announcing your plans and what you have going on, but you're working on this behavior, you're working on this. So when you become an expert at it, you don't need to be rattled back. If they happen to gang stalk you, you're not gonna be in anxiety, you're not gonna be in fear, you're not gonna be like, you know what you're doing with yourself. Things take practice and they take time, but when a skill is learned and a skill is perfected, it is a beautiful thing to have. So you have to become an expert at living as a TI. You gotta be slippery to catch as far as like people actually catching you to gang stalk you. You gotta be in and out, in and out, in and out. If you have to find yourself in crowds and stuff like that, you can't just be standing there and like, no. Be strategic when you're moving around. And I'm gonna be talking about that later. And not just physically moving around. Don't give them a schedule. You don't have a work schedule anymore. You don't have any type of schedule. You don't have places you frequent. You don't have friends. You don't have, like, you gotta get away. You gotta be elusive, and you gotta get harder and harder and harder to catch every day. Every day the commitment is to widen the gap further and further and further and further. Pull away. And you got to make it so everything works in your favor. If they, for me, if they come on here and troll me in the comments, it works in my favor. If they don't troll in the comments, it works in my favor. It leaves me alone. If they find just the right amount of trolling me, it works in my, whatever it is. You gotta find a win-win in every single situation, because at what point are you gonna get tired of it? You gotta find a way where every single thing that occurs is in your favor. So people don't know what move to make, because they can see every single move. You're enjoying it. It's working for you. It's working out for you. You have to find a balance between what you're going to be extremely serious about and what you are not going to take seriously at all. Things to take very seriously: your money, your means of taking care of yourself, if you do have children that you're responsible for, if you have, you know, I don't know if there are TIs who are married. I've heard of TIs who are still married, like they still kept their marriage. Things like that you gotta focus on. For you to waste your time being focused on you know, like just the, like I said, and it's not that it's not aggravating or irritating, but like things like people heckling you in public and strangers and stuff like that, it's a waste of it's a waste of time. There are kids being bullied the exact same way in high school. You gotta look past it. You have to just understand that your energy is limited, and where you're placing the energy is very important. So just, you gotta flow with life. You gotta know when to act, and you gotta try to figure out like when things can work in your favor. And I think there are a lot of things that work in people's favors that they just don't see. You gotta know when to move on. I say you start moving on from day one. You start having a plan from day one. You can't be putting the plan together on your own. You got to be praying a lot. You got to be asking God for direction. You got to listen when you get the direction. You got to flow with the energy. This prayer thing, the spirituality thing, this is something that is very personal. This is something that is, especially if you're a TI, and I think it's perfect because I don't necessarily believe in churches either, but once you're a TI, you're on your own, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. Maybe just me, but I don't see it as a bad thing. You know, even if you're building in amazing times, having people around you, having too many people around you has never been a good thing for anybody, especially when people are naturally envious. People are naturally always comparing themselves to other people. You're trying to grow something, you're trying to build something. It's like the fewer people on the ship, the better. You wouldn't have gotten help if you had a bunch of friends and, you know, associates and whatever around you anyway. Nobody's coming to like pick up a shovel or pick up a hammer. So you got to build this thing yourself. You have to be solution oriented until it becomes a reflex and not just a skill for gang stalking, until it becomes your way to live. When something's broken, you fix it. When something's not broken, you don't fix it. When something bothers you, you try to find a way to get out. You don't sit still. Do not sit still as far as like there's something that you can't do. You got to find a way around it. And I keep repeating that, and that's something that I constantly have to talk about. And that's something I constantly have to do myself. And can I tell you, every single time one door is open, I find a better solution. Every single time. It just looks like constant upgrades. And this is why I say, like, it's almost like gang stalkers are guiding the evolution through your life, because it's almost like it's like they're a testing ground that's free, that you get to look at and say like what's working and what's not. Like, you don't have to ask anybody's opinion. They're gonna prove to you what you're doing is working, and they're gonna prove to you what you're doing is not working. And you're gonna suffer for a bit. Believe me, you're gonna suffer annoyance. You're gonna go through a lot of crap until you get where you have to go. And you're gonna be extremely grateful for it. I know I am. I'm not, I can't lie and say I'm happy I was gang stalked. Of course not. But the skills that I acquired from gang stalking, I could have only acquired from gang stalking. Like, gang stalking is one of those unique things where this is the only place. I think it, even for me being online right now, talking to people, like, I may have a lot to share. I may have a lot that I can help people with, but I'm not really a person who like would normally come online and like talk to people, and it's not me. It would have to take gang stalking. It would have to take something this serious to push myself. Otherwise, I find ways around things like this. And lastly, reaching your zest for life, your passion again. A lot of times where I see gang stalkers or online trolls steal people's content, steal their personalities and all of that, and copy their content and regurgitate it. When you listen to it, it's BS to listen to, because it's like, it's not about, they didn't listen to understand. They were scrambling to take notes or something, but it's like, it's not advice that motivates anybody. It's not advice that's going to make a difference in anyone's life. It's not advice that's going to be groundbreaking in any way. It's just rambling off nonsense, probably just to irritate people, or probably more than likely, like I said, to lead people astray. This kind of nonsense, when people continue listening to, I'm really thinking about it because I just listened to the video tonight. You don't come out of that feeling anything. It hasn't pumped you up. It hasn't motivated you to any, like, you don't come out of what you're going through. You have to start consuming bits of media, bits of content all over the place, not just YouTube, not just TikTok, not social media, also Google, also articles, also, let's say, religious books, your Bible, your whatever. You really have to start consuming content that gives you back hope for the future, that gives you back from peace to hope. You got to get back excited about life. That's how you're going to change things in your world. Like, you got to get back excited. You got to get excited for what's coming. You got to get a belief in your gut that this is actually going to happen for you. Because sitting here for 12 years, for 6 years, whatever it is, and don't get me wrong, I know that it's brutal. I do. I know that it's brutal. I know that it is all encompassing. I know it makes you tired, but I also know sometimes the solutions are way easier than you think if you give it an opportunity, if you give yourself an opportunity for you to at least try to figure something out. Every solution that I actually got that was successful was way, 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 way easier than I thought. It's almost like God was like, okay, now you get to graduate out of it. But it wasn't. And let me tell you, to be honest, a lot of the solutions that I saw that I had to implement from before, a lot of them were things that got stopped, that got blocked. And now I'm doing them, but I already had them in mind. I already knew what I had to do. I think at some point, it's like we just all have to clean up our life. We got to clean up this mess. We got to block these people out. We got to get away from them as far as possible. Get them out of your awareness. Whether they're there in the background or not, it doesn't matter. It's just out of your awareness. You can't be going to a job or a business every single day and these people are there. It has to be like, there has to be a lot of gaps between the physical contact, and that's the first thing. And there has to be a whole lot of prayer. So I had to redo, what time am I on here? I had to redo this part about the new school of TIs before I get into my very, very spiritual, very niche sort of conversation about spirituality from here out. Releasing control. This is not for Christians at all. No personal problem with anybody and whatever they believe at all. I am just not Christian, and through going through gang stalking, I actually think that Christianity might have been harmless when everything was fine, but I feel like it's a dangerous thing to push right now. It's a dangerous thing to tell people to do right now. So, the Christianity thing. This is not for Christians. This is for people who their walk with God is personal. So people who are okay with having self-directed, a self-directed spiritual path. Whether your beliefs are considered alternative, it's not the religion, the formal religion I have an issue with. It's like all the gaps of the knowledge and the false things, and it's just like, you know, not giving people real advice and not giving people advice that's gonna actually work, or anybody has tested is proven. I follow a couple witches, spiritual practitioners, witch doctors, and all of them laugh at the Jesus thing. Like, they literally specifically make videos and they're like, don't call on Jesus, that does not work. They laugh at that, like, well known. And so for me, I know whenever I hear tarot readers and stuff talk about, I'm like, okay, you're a troll. Like, this is for people who want solutions and want the truth and want help. So I talk about, and I have other videos about this, so I'm not going to go too deep into this, but I talk about how you have to find your faith in a higher power. And so for me, I understand, because of what I've gone through, that the correct procedure is you start with your ancestors, you start with your dead. You start with your dead in your family tree, in your family line. The one that you're closest with, the one that you have still an energetic bond with, a spiritual bond with, the one that you love, the one that loved you, the one who's no longer here. Everybody has that one, because usually these are people who pass away right before or right around the time that you're going to need them in the spirit. If they were in the flesh with you, there's nothing they could do for you over here. Not through gang stalking, especially not through some of these hurdles people have to go through. So if you have an ancestor that passed away that you're very close to in the spirit, that's because that's where you need them. And that is also because you're going to be facing a spiritual battle. In facing a spiritual battle, you're going to need spiritual help. You're going to need to have a mindset that, first of all, whatever happens in the physical is only happening in the physical because it already happened spiritually. What is happening in the physical is far, 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 far behind what's happened in the spiritual world. In the spirit right now, I want to say you could be anywhere from a couple of months to even sometimes a couple of years from what it is that's meant for you. Like, you can literally, it's not in real time. So a lot of times people want to pray for something tonight and it happens tomorrow. You pray for something tonight, it might happen in 5 years. So you don't know, you don't have the clock on that, but it needs to be worked on in the spirit. And in the meantime, you do your part. So, excuse me, if you ask to come out of gang stalking, it could take 2, 3, 4, 5 years, who knows how long. But the fact is, it's being worked on. You have been worked on in the spirit long before they started to be overt with your gang stalking. They are overt with the gang stalking after they know that particular things are done first. They need to bind you to them. They need to know your routine. They need to know your social networks. They need to know your habits. They need to know how much money you have. They have to have a full plan before they start. They got to be looking at everything. They're studying everything. What makes you think that you're going to get out of something with people that strategic by having no research, no help? They're in the spirit, which means that they have something that they pray to. And if they're in the spirit and they have something that they pray to, and you're here, you're not even in the spirit, and you're praying to something that is imaginary and that doesn't have authority. Jesus Christ did not create the world, and so where is the authority? People will want to argue me down for it, and that's okay. You know, I that's not the point of what I'm trying to do, is to cause arguments, but there's no authority there to do that. That's like saying, in my ancestors, with the authority my ancestors give me, you know, my dead, living passed on ones, that I'm gonna do this or that. It's like, you gotta go to God, the real God. And you know, I think that God is something that you, if you don't want to, if you don't know where to turn and who to turn to, God is an energy that if you call it in, it will come in very real ways in your life. You got to call in energies that are actually going to move in the spirit and show you that they're there. Show you that they're there. Like these people, these witch doctors, these energies they pray to will move this cup behind me right now, right on camera, slap it off the table. That's how real what they're praying to is. When is the last time someone prayed to Jesus Christ and could say that would happen? And that's an example. These are energies that they're very sure when they pray to this energy, they're positive that what they petitioned for is going to happen. You don't move with that sort of confidence when you're praying. Christians just, I'm talking about something real and active. I'm not talking about hope. Just hope that it will work out. Just no, it hasn't worked out for anyone. All the slaves were Christian, and they had to wait on the slave masters to have mercy to abolish it. So no. And I'm not telling anyone to do black magic, but I'm saying, you know, you look at black magic works. There are means of harnessing that same energy without using it in the same way. And I talk all about that on my page. And I'm not talking about anything that is nefarious and weird and all of that, but spirituality is real. It's just that they gatekeep this information so that people sit there and people suffer. So while they come in your space and they come around you, they bother you, they harass you, they hurt you, they take away your life, they take away your freedom, you think they're going to tell you how to fight them? I've been on people's pages and they're talking down sage. And they know that they do. Of course they're going to talk down sage on their platform, because they know what they do to people. And they know that that is one way of keeping them out of people's space. So they know that the way that they really want to put their hands on people, they can't do it, because the people who will tap into their spiritual knowledge, is they're going to use the tools that are available to keep themselves safe. So what is somebody who talks about all form of witchcraft gonna tell somebody? They will tell you how to use money to do this and to get a lover back and this and that. But as soon as you talk about sage, oh no, we don't use sage. They're never gonna tell people the truth. So anyway, my message moving forward is, I warn people, it's not for Christians. I'm not Christian. Don't hold me to that standard. I don't care. It's for people who have connected with spirit, because I know people are at all different phases. I try to give advice for people who are very new in their ascension journey, and they are now waking up, and you're waking up in the middle of a spiritual battle and you really need help on like how to navigate it. You need real tools, real skills. You need to know how to cleanse energy. You need to know how to take care of yourself. You need to know how to fight spiritually, protect yourself spiritually, etc. This is for you. So let's say you're at a point where you're just getting to know your spirit guides. So, you've stood on your ancestors' shoulders now. The introduction has been made. You're with your spirit guide. You know this energy is with you. I don't know everybody what energy they're working with, but spirits are very strong. They're very strong energies. So you already carry the spirit. Now, I don't know where everybody would be with it, but it takes time. I think the last video I have up is talking about the space between where you start your relationship with this spirit and when you merge with this spirit fully. Because your spirit guides are not meant to be like a deity on your altar. It's not meant to be an energy of like, I come once or twice to you, or I keep you on the altar for a little bit and then I could blow out the candle on that altar and walk away. It doesn't work like that. It's a spirit guide. It guides you through life. Oftentimes you'll find like your spirit guide to be on almost like the most perfect version of you. It's like who you would be if you mastered every single test that you could master in every single lifetime, and you just mastered the entire thing and there was nothing else to learn. It's like that. Like you will notice components of yourself. You'll notice like, you'll notice if you have an energy, you'll notice like they're very much like you. It's almost like the highest version of yourself, but it's also an energy that you need time to reconnect with it. I don't think these spirit guides, if you get your spirit guide, it's not the first time you're connecting to this energy. Like you are familiar with this energy. It's the energy itself you're familiar with. You may not remember anything else, but what you feel is not the first time you felt it. And people call that deja vu, but we all know what that feels like. So you're reconnecting with your higher self. And first of all, let me explain something. This is what you come to life to do. This is what you're born to do. The jobs, the be successful, go make money, whatever, that's secondary. That is secondary to the spiritual journey. That is secondary to the spiritual lessons. That is secondary to reaching your heaven on earth, reaching your nirvana, reaching your point of elevation. It's almost like it's the graduation from what we might call the midlife crisis. It's like this is where it's supposed to lead you when you have these extremely traumatic events happen to you in life. It is so that it can lead you to God. And everybody gets this event in a different way. Like, what is the name of that girl? Gypsy Rose. She lived the first half of her life in the most horrible way any of us could imagine. She ended up unaliving her mother, going to jail, coming back out, and now she's a celebrity. She's a celebrity. Everybody recognizes what she's been through. No one is holding it against. I mean, some people, yes, they say it's wrong and whatnot, and it's not my business. The purpose of me talking about it is not to have an opinion on what she did or what she didn't do, because I don't even know like the story in detail. But it's the fact that she had to go through her trial and no one was gonna come to save her. No one was coming to save her out of that situation. She would have passed away in that situation. So she had to find her way out. And it wasn't an easy battle, and it wasn't short, because after all the years of abuse, I think she did what, 8 or 9 years in jail anyway, even after that. So you want to talk about a hard road, but she comes out of it. She triumphs over that situation. She speaks her truth. Now she's famous. Now she's getting opportunities. And it's not to say it doesn't come with the downside of fame. You know, the stalkers, the trolls, the people coming after her and whatever. But it's the fact that this girl had to show incredible strength to get through that situation that would break anybody mentally. And when she talks, she seems to be a fairly level-headed person, even after all of that, even after that abuse. This is the power of healing. This is a power of strength. This is a power of accepting 50% of the responsibility of walking yourself out of your tough situations. However, as you go through these situations, through that tough part, the being abused by somebody that you would never think, a mother, a parent, in front of a father who's there and nobody's noticing, can't talk, can't this, can't that, like going through all of that for so many years, and then having to go to prison. On top of it, it's like I'm being punished for being abused type of thing. You go through all of that because this kind of difficult life path, you are meant to find your higher self, find God, find source. Find source, find the source of creation. It's supposed to help you have a breakthrough, a spiritual breakthrough. So you're supposed to break out of who you were. You're supposed to have a new mindset. You're supposed to be a person who believes in things and sees life differently from other people. You cannot get out of that and still be like the same person that you were before. The point of it is to change. The point of it is for you to graduate. As you sit here and you're consuming all of this toxic energy and seeing all of this negativity and going through all of this, if you don't actually connect to God, this is not one of those where it's like, if you don't connect to God, like things stay the same. If you don't connect to God, it gets worse. It continues to get worse. This energy is organized. Like I said, it's organized. They use organized groups to attack you, organized covens of witches, organized societies. You know, they go into all kinds of, like, I'm not even going to go into all of it because that's not the point of what I'm saying, but it's you against all of this. The point is to meet a higher power. It's like somebody comes out of like the forest because their plane crashed and they had to spend 8 weeks out there by themselves. They meet God in those 8 weeks, having no idea if they're going to get back to civilization or not. No idea how they're going to die. No idea if they're going to have to cut their leg off and eat it to survive. That pushes a person spiritually and emotionally. And the point of pushing you that far is sometimes that's the only way that you would have been isolated enough, that you would have been quiet enough that for you to hear God. Otherwise, you would still find a way to go through something. God gets you out and still think it's yourself, or still like it had to be this bad. It really has to be this bad. Unfortunately, with people, that's how human beings work. That's how they learn, is by going through things. Just telling them is not enough. It's like you have to experience something for you to really know and be convinced in your heart. So you've come to this point. You found your spirit guides. You've reached your north node. Your north node is the path you are meant to walk. Whatever happens before there is you just playing out cycles. And these cycles are meant to teach you lessons to get you to the north node. And when you get to your north node, it's like now you are finally in service of God. That's what a north node is, very simply. When you finally find yourself in the place where you are of service to God. That could be in any way. It could be in making cat food, it could be in being a builder, it could be making music. It doesn't matter, because just because people do not see a direct pipeline on how what you're doing is showing people the power of God, the beauty of God, doesn't mean, like, what you create may not necessarily impact millions of people. It may just be what somebody else needed. And so you had to be in that person's path at the right time so that they can understand their path through what you've created, through what you've done. And I know that and that doesn't sometimes people are in their north node and they don't even know they're of service. They don't even know that what they're producing is going to help people through. They don't even know that what they're producing is that critical. And then the people that they help with whatever it was that they produced turn around and help a whole bunch of other people behind it. So maybe they didn't directly help a whole ton of people, but they actually did, because they were there to help that one person. When you get in this situation and like you're in a tough spot, I'm talking specifically to gang stalking, but I think this can be applied to any situation. So you're now in a tough spot. So you're at the point in your journey where you've decided, like, you gotta leave. You don't know how, but you can't live like this anymore, and you're determined to do that. And you start making plans, you start putting things together, you start hatching an exit plan, you start praying. The praying is working, the prayer is working. You're seeing changes in your life, you're seeing results from the prayer. You start realizing that this energy is communicating back to you, and it could be in any way, shape, or form. I don't necessarily mean like you're hearing voices in your head, or I mean like, when there's an energy that's proving itself to you, that's saying, I'm really here. You're past that. It's too much that you don't even need to talk to anyone. You don't need to confirm it with anyone. Like, you are living with this energy. What tends to happen is that we still tend to not fight against the energy, but try to retain too much control. Try to retain too much, what's the word I'm looking for? Or how do I say this? You're not fighting against the energy, but it's like you're making it hard for the energy to do what it has to do. So instead of flowing with it, this is something that people who, how would I call it? People who have energies riding them, dark energies, they could probably explain this better. But there comes a point where you have to kind of release control, because whether it be, so just for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna kind of have to backtrack. You are, every human being who has a vessel, you're like, I like to describe it as an airport. Your body, your vessel is like an airport where you have the ability to allow multiple energies to be in your vessel with you, to share your vessel with you. I've talked about this before. And these energies, depending on who they are, you start behaving with their characteristics. Energies will give you abilities that they have. It takes time, but I think it's different for different energies, to be honest with you. I think for some people it depends on whatever their agreement is with the energy, how skilled they are, how experienced they are. It's like, I'm sure there's some energies are more eager than others. Some energies are less respectful, way less respectful. Some energies, their whole intention is to possess you. So from the moment you give it permission, you made a mistake. Like, you can feel it, like this was and getting your vessel back will be the fight of your life. So imagine that, the fight not coming from outside, the fight coming from inside. And worse, if you have that fight inside of you and you also are being fought down on the outside. Craziness, that one. So put it this way, I would only recommend your ancestors, your spirit guide. That's just me. Everybody use their discernment, do what you want to do. Don't take my advice on here, because this is not something that should be taken lightly at all. At all. However, with your spirit guides, with the energy that you call God, and for people who might want be doubtful or not understanding or whatnot, you need to, like, this is stuff that's in the Bible. They talk about carrying the energy of God and all of that stuff too. So it, you know, like, I don't want to go through a debate, but you need to work with the energy and not against it. Meaning that you do not need to have the answers. You do not need to know almost anything. Really, all you need to do is walk around and enjoy life. Get yourself to the point where you're enjoying life. And you're going to say, well, the gang stalkers and this and that. Listen, light energies, any energy that you're with, it feels what you feel. And so it is very tough for it to feel pain. It's not an enjoyable place for it to be. It doesn't want you to be unhappy. It doesn't want you not to be at peace. It doesn't want you crying. So automatically, it's going to take you out of situations where that is what you're experiencing. It is automatic. It's like your only job is to be happy, and that's the truth. When you have light energies, your only job is to be happy. That's all the energy wants. So the energy goes out of its way to do things for you that you ask it for, because you must ask, or that it has the permission to do, even if it's not something specific. But it's like, you got to think of your spirit guides as they're here to get you where you need to go, and they want it to be a productive experience. They're not here for it to be hell on earth. They want you to understand that these experiences are going to enhance you. These spirits are going to, these lessons are going to build you. They're going to train you, and the training is not just for this lifetime. The training is for you to move forward with. There's already other assignments in other lifetimes, and you need to get through this one. Otherwise, you got to come back and repeat it. It is essential. They are here to get you where you need to go on time. These are energies that you're supposed to be working with and not working against. These are energies that you're supposed to make their job easy. And yes, it's difficult. Yes, they anticipate that it's going to be rocky. You don't understand. You're going to fight back. You're not going to like this. You're not going to like that. But as soon as you come to the realization that they are here for your benefit, as soon as you come to the realization that they need and want you happy at all times, even in bad situations, even in situations like gang stalking, they want you to put a smile on your face. They know you have to take this road, but they want to do little nice things for you. They just want to keep you happy. These energies are energies that are made of love. Like, they are of the energy of love. And so that is what you will feel carrying this energy. And that's also what you emit to people when you carry that energy. That's what people feel when they meet you. They meet the energy right away of your angel, of whatever energy that you carry. So people who carry these kinds of energies connect with everybody all the time. Old, young, rich, poor, any race, any gender, any whatever. Like, this energy is an energy where if there was a person who was extremely racist and didn't like any black people, and you're black, they're gonna like you. They're gonna be like, I don't know, I don't like black people, but I don't know. They won't even have the time to see you as black. They will just let their guards down and let it in, because that's what love does. That's what that energy is about. So you got to be sure of the energy that you're working with. And I'm not going to say they're not trickster energies, but I know that energies that feed off of chaos are, they don't have love to give. So you're not going to feel love. You might feel something that you resonate with, if you resonate with feelings of chaos, if you resonate with gossip, if you resonate with all of the feelings and the energies that they come with. So you might resonate with that, but that is not love. And it wouldn't be uncommon for you to not know what love is if that's the vibration that you're in. But it doesn't mean that when it's a feeling of love, all of us, even people who've never had universal love before, genuine love before, very strong love before, even those people will know what that energy is. So you need to work with this energy to help you. And this energy knows way better than you what you're up against. If you had to ask me very honestly, how did I get through gang stalking? Honestly, it was listening to my spirit guides the entire way through. There was no plan that I knew of. I was alerted as I needed to do things, and I didn't know why. And I had to get to the point where I was going to follow directions without asking too many questions. Because me even knowing what the plan is already a liability. I shouldn't. Just me even knowing what the plan is already an issue. Me even going over in my head, thinking, is it gonna work, doubting it, all of the, it's like it's a waste of energy. My energy is better spent on other things. My energy is spent better spent, you know, in other places, enhancing myself spiritually rather than doing the heavy lifting. That is not my job. That part is not your job. It's not your job to know how you're getting out of here, because you don't even know what hair is. You're being told what hair is, and the majority of the stuff on YouTube is pure bullshit. They don't know what they're talking about. They're regurgitating a lot of information that they got from tarot readers, and what the information that they're getting, it just sounds like that because the information is like, first of all, it's all you can fit information. So a lot of people, it doesn't even fit their situation. But secondly, it's meant to be very general. It's not really specific to anybody. It's a general idea. And thirdly, it's coded. It's coded. When you say things like, oh, someone's stealing your inheritance, like it's not like realistic like that. It's coded for the people who can understand what it means. The people who are focused, who are on this journey, who are walking this path very seriously, working with spirit guides, being sent messages, and it's life or death, and they have to take one step at a time to get themselves out of those are the people that will know what it means. Those are the people that can crack the code. It's not meant for general consumption for trolls and gang stalkers up here to take it, and so it's like it's not meant for that. So your the guide's job, your the energy that you carry, it is, you got to give them their job, let them do their job, empower them to do their job, give them whatever they need from you to get it done, and release control as far as blocking your own way, standing in your own way. um One of the things, give me a second. Yeah, what was I saying? Yes, what I wanted to talk about. One of the first ways that you're going to release control of the situation is you literally need to let them have it, as far as handling it. This is something that I'm not going to say has been hard for me. I'm not gonna say that, because my spirit guides have handled my, I want to say, almost entire situation. Like, I gave that situation up entirely. It's taken a while for me to fully release it. And what I mean by that is just finally taking my attention off of what is going on around me and focusing it where they've been telling me to focus it. And giving your situation to your spirit guides is like full on. It's not just like, how are they getting you out of gang stalking? It's like a full on relationship. As far as, it could be anything. I give them all kinds of things. Like, I need something, I give it to them to figure it out. I get it. I need help on something, I need a question answered, I need a confirmation of something, whatever it is. And I just leave it to them to do, and I don't really worry about, like, how is this going to get done? When is it going to get, it'll get done at the right time. Believe it or not, everything that you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing, because there are multiple energies making sure that everybody gets where they have to go. Excuse me. And that is what I came to terms with. This is how it's just looked to me, no matter like however I twist it. Even the bad things, that's the hardest part to like accept sometimes, because you always go through these horrible things, or you see people go through these horrible things, and you're like, how can there be an upside to this kind of suffering? But there is an upside. People are going through it and coming out the other side, and most people that graduate a very difficult life circumstance come out of the other side, and they usually, what, it's not like they're happy about it, but they usually tend to start having something positive to say about the result of them coming out. It's not just the fact that they went through it, it's how they got through it. And when you get through it, it's not just skills that you have, even though maybe you may or may not recognize that it's not just skills that you've picked up, that you've picked up some sort of ability to rely on yourself, to find that strength inside of you, that encouragement inside of you. And I think oftentimes the voice of your guides they're so subtle, and it's really what I would call an instinct. They are your instincts. They are your intuition, and they are your instincts. That's what I would say. First, you listen to your intuition when it talks to you, when it tells you things to do, when it tells you something's not right, when it tells you it's time to stop, it's time to go. There's your intuition. And then your instincts are the ones that kick into gear without your permission, without you thinking things through, without you strategizing, without you planning. It's instincts. That's what pushes through. And a lot of times most people they don't listen to either one, to the point that they might as well not have it. It's like, it's so dead that it just has no, first of all, these are already very quiet voices in anybody's consciousness. Your intuition is already like, it's something that you have to exercise that muscle, and you have to listen to it blindly, and it doesn't always tell you things you want to hear, and it's most certainly doesn't, it's not always logical. Something looks one way, it looks real, but your instincts and your intuition are both in agreement that something's weird about it. Turns out it's organized crime. Turns out it's something weird going on. And they're the ones that are there to get you away from things that you're not supposed to be in. Why people do not listen to it is beyond me. It's inside of you. I think from a young age, you start to realize, like, every time you got yourself in trouble was because you didn't listen. You didn't listen to it. And yet, and still, we have people who, to the very end, not listening to wise counsel. It's crazy to me. You have to let the higher part of you lead. You need to literally not worry about how things are going to go, when they're going to go, none of the above. You need to have faith that you're going to be guided out of this situation the same way you were guided in it. And this is the thing that I think people do not understand. You were guided into this situation. If it was not for you to experience, you wouldn't be here. Who knows why you experience things? I can tell you, for people who describe themselves as spiritual warriors, every spiritual warrior is a spiritual warrior because they've gone to war. That's it. That's how you become a spiritual warrior, through war, through spiritual war, through having to fight off things from yourself spiritually and then winning, and then coming back and collecting all the experience and all the knowledge. And more times than not, people who are spiritual warriors are usually people who are also teaching other people how to get through battles, because you understand, like, each one teach one. You also understand that that sort of knowledge has been critical for you, and you are more than willing to do the same thing for other people. That's how that goes. So there is always a reason why things happen. And I've heard other people say that. They'll say, well, the reason that I went through this is so that I can come back and tell people, and this is my path in life and whatever. And it's like, yeah, sometimes your path in life is literally having to experience the thing that you have to help people with. Because it's hard to help somebody with something you've never experienced. Like, you're not even speaking from a place of understanding what they're going through. You're going to be of no use. So my best tips for letting your spirit guides and the predominant energies that you work with do what they are supposed to do. Number one, you cannot always trust the voice in your head, but you can always trust an instinct, because I don't believe. Anyway, people could do a lot of things spiritually, but you know what your damn instincts are. Like, you've lived your whole life. You can feel it. You can feel it. So you have to discern within you what makes sense. Even if you had a voice inside your head that told you, jump off a bridge, you know that this might not be a good idea. So you have to discern what makes sense and what doesn't. That's number one. You need to identify when it's them and when it's not. Number two, you need to release control of who, what, where, why, when. The only thing you really should be concerning yourself with is what. Telling them what you need, you know, how you need it, when you need it, and all of that. Like, you might be able to say, I really need this by this day, because maybe it's something with a deadline. But if it's not something with like a natural deadline, I would just let spirit do what they have to do, because they know when it's appropriate for you to get things. If you're in the clutches of gang stalking, you do not want anything important to you right now when people have access to you, when the work is not done. So you do have to wait till the end of these circumstances to find yourself receiving things that are for you, and you have to remind yourself of that often. 3, try not to stand in their way. Now, this path is not always difficult. The means by which you get out are not always favorable. Everything takes sacrifice, and a sacrifice is something you actually want. You actually want to happen to you. A sacrifice is not something that you're okay with giving up. A sacrifice is a sacrifice. It's it's the law of the universe that you must give up something to get something else. You must contribute something, you must give something in order to get something. So when you get to that point where you have to make your sacrifices, you can't cry too long. You can't hold back too long. Sometimes with gang stalking, and depending on how strategically things are done, you don't even have a lot of time. This is like emergency situations all the time. It's like, you got to jump out of the plane now. No time to pack any bags, no time to do anything. here's a parachute and you gotta go now. Sometimes it's like that. You don't get to say goodbye. You don't get to like look at the picture frame one last time or like hug your favorite teacup. Nothing. You just got to make a decision and go. It's going to be terrifying, some of these things. It's going to be aggravating. It's going to feel unfair. It's going to make you feel demotivated. But if you fall into all of these feelings, you make their job, once again, difficult, more difficult than it needs to be, more resistance than needs to be. And I've had to learn when they say, like, it's okay, you can be happy now, you can celebrate now, it's fine. I already know how long, maybe not precisely, but I know in my spiritual journey that what I'm experiencing today is not what in the spirit is going on. What you're experiencing today is the past already. You're living physically in the past. You right now are a different person in the spirit. You're living different circumstances than you are right now. Some people are already in jail in the spirit. Some people are already having their karma in the spirit. And when that karma is done playing out there, then the hammer falls over here. It starts moving in here, and people know that. Spiritualists know already that they're under, this is called being under judgment, and they know that already. They can see it in the sign. They look in the water and they see blood, and they could either be in denial, like trying to reverse something that you can already see the blood in the water now is like a chore, because even if it does happen and it starts reversing now, you still have like a whole bunch of time that already passed that something was percolating. And I don't know, I don't even know if you can really do that. Maybe, these people are call themselves experts, so maybe they know. Maybe they like to pride themselves on knowing more than everybody while habitually failing, consistently failing. But maybe they know. Maybe they know what is going on. I don't think you can change events like that. I think that if events change in the spirit like that, that way, I think it's either God's mercy, number one, or I think it was always meant to be like that. Even in my situation, I just feel like it was always meant to go that way. It had to go that specific way. Like, this is the way that it had to go. This was the way to catch your enemy, to put them in the position that they needed to be, in the way they needed to be. So it had to go this way. I don't think it's necessarily going in the spirit and reworking things. I think there's a plan for your life. I think there's a way things are supposed to go, and you're going through it, and maybe you disagree with it, but that's the way that it had to go. So whatever it is that you're going through with your spirit guides, especially if you are a targeted individual and you're going on your spiritual journey and you're going through your ascension process and you've met your higher self. And I always say to everybody, it's not like there's different energies that come to you. Maybe some people experience the energy differently, but if you're in your north node, it's God. If you're in your north node, you know what, honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna put a pin in that, and as far as I'm not sure, because some people, it's like they really are like working with these dark forces, and part of me is like, the fact that they're still doing it means that was the place, that was the way, the life path they had to walk. It seems like some people were not meant to like walk with God at some point. That's just how it feels to me. So maybe it's not always God. Maybe it's some other energy. I don't know. But one thing I do know is just like, I don't know. If you're walking in the light, and if you're of service to the Most High, and if the energies that you are working with are light energies, I talk to people, and I say it all the time, like, I can only tell people the truth. I can only tell people what was the truth for me. And the truth for me was that it has been an energy that I call the mother energy that is constantly with us, and I can see her in people's life, and some of these people credit other energies or say other names when it's her. So I try to be gentle with this because I know it's a lot of this for people who've never heard this. It's like it will make you nervous. That's the truth. It really will. It's it's a far cry, and especially coming from, like, I grew up in Christianity. So to take that switch, not not taken lightly, and not because I didn't want to be like, this might not be real, maybe. It's like any time that I can say to myself, like, there is no way, not anymore, obviously, not for a very long time, but before I woke up and I felt this energy, I was like, there is no way, like, this wouldn't even make sense. Like, I can't even say this to people because people would think I'm crazy. I can't even say, like, yeah, I can't repeat this. I can't repeat what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling. This would not make sense. But when you go through your ascension, you don't have a choice but to say, it doesn't matter if you explaining it to somebody else would make that person laugh or make that person say their, it doesn't matter. You just either feel sorry for them, or you just think, like, maybe it's not their time yet or whatever. Like, you don't take it personally, because you're like, it does sound wild. It really does. But for us that are going through it, and especially in the beginning, I just want to say, wherever you are with this journey, the minute that you unclench and you let spirit take over, let spirit guide you, let spirit guide you out of this, an ease will come over you, a peace will come over you. That peace has nothing to do with how circumstances are working out, because it's like, you're with your mother now. It's like, she has the wallet, she has the bank account, she has the connection, she has everything. So it's like, let her figure it out. What am I still, like, trying to just let her figure it out? And when you get to that point of trust, it takes trust. That's why it takes some time. It takes some trust to know that they're not going to, like, crash your life. But they prove that to you first before it gets to this point, obviously. But, like, once you get to a level of trust with your spiritual relationship, and you can feel that hand guiding your life, you don't even need to know what the plan is anymore. Like, I used to need to know. I'd be like, I kind of just want to know so I can prepare myself. And now I'm used to not preparing myself. I don't need to prepare myself for it. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm very happy. This is an energy that will not let you fail. And I think there's a gratitude for you being easy to deal with. It's like not having to, like, wrangle you through the whole thing and, like, drag you kicking and screaming. It's like there's a gratitude for that. Like, this is the path we're on. This is the trek that we're taking. Like, this is the route that we're taking through here. Just, like, let's just go through it. Not bellyache every day. Wherever it takes you, it takes you. Like, during these journeys, these ascensions are not easy. There are people losing their children. There are people under heavy attack during these situations. There are people losing homes, businesses, property, all kinds of things. It's not an easy journey. Do not let me minimize it or make anybody feel like it's easy. It was not easy for me either. Maybe people just thought that I made it look easy, but obviously it's not easy at all. It's a very draining process. But once you get to the point where you stop wanting to fight this, you stop wanting to feel like things are not working out, you stop wanting to feel like you just leave it because you realize that they have the answers. And a lot of my answers come in retrospect, after the fact that something worked or didn't work or how it worked or whatever. I just get to the point where I'm just like, next time I'm not trying to take control of this project. I'm not trying to figure everything out. And maybe that's a, I don't know how someone would want to take that if that's a disappointment, but I want you to like really think about it. I'll tell you, for example, so yesterday evening after I did my live, I came back online and I did another live because I was watching the last video that I did, and I'm like, this video is so beautiful, like it's me talking about God. And then I'm watching the video after it and I'm realizing the difference, and I'm walking through the events of the day and like, what kind of spell work did I have to deal with today, and this, that, and the third. And it just hit me. It's like, it's the day that I actually talk about God that it's like these energies are most upset and lashing out. And I'm like, why would a person care about that? So it's like, after it just bothered me, I'm just like, it's so weird. So after I was done with the live, I was getting irritated and I realized, like, wait a minute, wait. This is me taking on more than I have to. Again, my only job is to be happy. That is what I'm working on. That is my job. This kind of way of living does not involve spell work. It doesn't involve lighting candles for people. It doesn't involve any of that. This way of living is energy, controlling energy. This way of feeling is allowing light feelings into your life, allowing, not manufacturing them, not finding a way for them to come, just allowing yourself to be happy, allowing yourself to be at peace, allowing yourself to envision better for yourself. All you have to do is be happy. I went to bed so happy and so self-satisfied last night because I was like, all I had to do was just be happy. Just believe that I'm gonna be fine, which I do regardless, but just all of these little things that could have bothered me, could have been discouraging to me, don't need that. Like, I'll tell you, if it was before, and this is again how I say I know my healing work has come a long way. If it was before, I would have seen the people like copying my videos, copying what I do, and it'd be so irritating, and I'd be like, oh my God. And then I'd be like, oh, I don't feel like doing this and whatever. But I'm like, maybe this is God's way of getting the message out. Who am I to stand in the middle of that? Who am I to have an ego about it? The reality is not my content anyway. I'll be honest with you. Some of the stuff I sit there and I put it together myself, but some of the stuff it's like I jot down a couple of notes and it's like it's not my content. So who am I to say someone's stealing my content? Sure, there's a part of me that's like, are these people serious? Like, what are they doing this for? But it's not my content, and therefore it wouldn't be my job for me to like do for me to do anything about it, for me to like be pissed off about. Sure, I'm gonna report it, sure, I'm gonna say something about it, but it's like, for me to energetically and emotionally let me bother me, and like, it's not one of those reports where it's like, oh my God, like I'm gonna like blah 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 because of, not really, not really. I'm not emotionally like tied to it. It's not that big of a deal. And it's really just sifting through those things of figuring out like what is a big deal and what's not a big deal. What should upset you and what should not upset you. And how much energy do you assign to different situations? Some situations don't deserve any energy. It's like people in your life. Some people in your life deserve no energy. Doesn't matter how much chaos they bring. It doesn't matter what they want. They deserve no energy. This is not where you want to place energy. You will get nothing in return for this energy you expend. And that's just how you have to look at it. If you're going to expend energy, you would like to get something back. So this is the message that I have for today. Help your spirit guides help you release control, release the worry of how is it gonna work and blah. The only thing I can say in regards to that is anybody carrying these energies, you've prayed impossible prayers before, and when they've been answered, you couldn't believe your eyes. So this is nothing new. This is more of the same, where you legit are, you've prayed for what you wanted, you have made it clear this is what you want, and your only job from here is to be happy and do your job and stay out of their job. The same way you don't want them to come and do your job. You want to do things for yourself that you feel comfortable taking over those things as well. Getting some guidance for sure is amazing because that's their job as well. But like, not trying to take control and tell them you don't want it done this way and this and that. The beginning of the relationship is definitely like, being mindful of you and taking time with you and stuff like that. And then when you get to a certain point, it's like you got to release the control, let them guide you. I mean, on big things, on little things, it doesn't matter. If you are like, I want to do this and be very specific, it could be like, I want to find truffle butter, and you leave it to them, you'll find the truffle butter. That's simple. You're not gonna not find the truffle butter. You're gonna find the truffle butter because you want it. It's your intention. You don't have to sit there and be like, where's my truffle butter 5 minutes later? You can just literally like do whatever else you have to do, go to bed, work on your different things, and something happens, and you may had to have gone somewhere just to get a tire fixed, and right next door is a truffle butter shop. It literally works like that. I would just leave it alone, trust, move when you're supposed to move, and do what you say you're supposed to do. These are two things with energies that you listen. If I can say nothing more, do what you told an energy that you're gonna do. Please do not find yourself in that kind of debt direct like that. Just do whatever it is that you worked out that you're gonna do. And if you now find that you don't want to do it anymore, it's too bad. You still gotta do it, or else. That's it. This is energy now. Nobody's coming to save you. There's no 911 here. So whatever your purpose is, whatever it is that you have to do, don't get there and decide you're gonna change your mind and do what you say you're gonna do. That is it. Release control, be more trusting, let them guide you through. um Ask them every and all questions, ask them to block things from you, and never doubt that you could be the first one. Never doubt that you could be the first one who, whether it's gets away, pulls out of things, walks free, has hope, whatever it is. But you can't stay here. So you got to start doing the work, getting the lessons, doing it the way they want you to do it, etc., etc. Don't delay yourself here. Leave these people in this cycle and get out of here. Honestly, this is madness that people are living in. It's a mad world, and I think with the right energies and with the right assistance, we all can get out of it. And I've made it known who's gotten me out of my situation. And for anybody listening, I don't want you to be discouraged if I have ever come back on here and complained and this and that and whatever. This comes with it. Like me getting spell work, I'm gonna get spell work till I die. Like spell work is gonna be a part of my life forever. That's the journey. That's something that I had to learn. Expecting that there's gonna be a day, no. It's just that it doesn't bother me anymore. It's just that I don't feel things anymore. It's just like it's different now. Whereas in the beginning it was very painful. That's just the point. That's how it's supposed to work for you as well. In the beginning it was tough, and you're gonna get to the point where you're used to it. It's like muscle memory. You're enduring your, etc., etc. So don't be discouraged from the advice that I give, because I may still be navigating issues. Spiritually, I'm already done with the situation. I just have to walk through physically and endure the rest of it. And it's kind of like people who are into the occult, into witchcraft, they know that. They know some of the work they put on people, it's going to take 6 months, it's going to take a year. So in the first 3 months, seasoned practitioners and stuff are not going to sit there and say like, oh my God, what's going on? It's not working. It's like, seasoned practitioners know like, oh, this has to soak in a bit. This is going to take some time. Oh, they cleaned it off. Oh, we're going to redo it and whatever way they practice, right? Which works on people who don't know how to clean this stuff off. But it's the same for you. Like, your life is energetically somewhere else, depending on what you've been praying for back there, depending on what you've been wanting to happen back there. It starts showing up after a while. So who knows how far out you are already spiritually, but what you're seeing right now is not what it is. So you just have to do your job. Be happy, be content, do the things that you're supposed to do the very, very, very tough emotional and spiritual work. That is the tough part. The tough part is not the part that you think, like making money or no, that's not. The tough part is emotionally keeping yourself, excuse me, I call it buoyant. Maybe being pulled down and bouncing back up. Doing the work of healing, doing the work of forgiving people that you do not like at all, taking the baby steps towards something that has to be done either way, doing the hard work. Because again, I said this is not a path of spell work. This is a path of recognizing and working with the magic inside of you. That is what spirit is. Spirits are magic. What people call magic, it's spirits. They're working with spirits, whether they use a candle or not. It's that some people don't need any of that because they have the magic with them. They are the magic. Even before ascending, even before waking up, they cough and they cough up magic. Like, not everybody is spiritually the same. Some people don't like understanding that. But you're working and learning your own magic. And if you have this, and you'll know if you do and if you don't. If you don't resonate, you don't resonate. It is what it is. But if you do, you are learning your own magic. You're learning how to use it. And I'm just telling you, it is with emotions. It is with your vibration. And so you got to be militant about that. And that has to be connected to nothing or no one. That has to be squarely in the hands of your spirit guides. That has to be a situation that is cultivated, because they have been spending the entire gang stalking experience trying to get your vibe low and succeeding a lot of the time. So you got to get to a place where you keep it up, and it's not contingent on you getting spell work, you getting gang stalked harder, you getting whatever, because you got to get used to all of it. Get used to all of it. Deal with all of it. Know that it's coming, and don't let your happiness be contingent on it stopping. Your happiness has to be there whether or not anybody supports you, have any family, you have any friends. It stops. It doesn't matter. Happiness is just a feeling. People act like it costs something. Let me go pay $1 million for a house to get happiness, but it was free. It's free, you know. So reach for it. Anyway, that is my message. I hope it helps someone. Have yourself a great night, and just remember that God loves you.